Spiral, from the Book of Saw, may have new characters, new lore, and a new killer, but it's still a Saw movie, right through its big twist ending. Here's everything you need explained about the twisted ending of the 9th Saw movie, Spiral, from the Book of Saw. The biggest reveal at the end of Spiral is also the most obvious: the identity of the serial killer who's been hunting down the members of the South Metro Police Precinct. As savvy viewers probably guessed, the killer is none other than Zeke's new partner, William Schenck, played by Max Minghella. As he lays out in a Scooby-Doo-esque monologue at the end of the film, Schenck is the son of the witness who Zeke's former partner, Pete Dunleavy, killed in order to protect a dirty cop. Ever since that fateful night, Schenck, which isn't his real name by the way, has been planning his revenge, and he wants Zeke's help. As Zeke proved by turning in Pete and ruining both of their careers, he's one of the few honest cops in a precinct that's rife with corruption. By targeting dirty cops and forcing them to make amends for their misdeeds, usually by sacrificing one of their body parts, Schenck hopes to scare the other officers into going straight. If not, well, he'll be there to punish them. While Schenck thinks Zeke is the ideal partner for his depraved scheme, the veteran detective disagrees. So, of course, Schenck has created a trap that forces Zeke to make a near impossible choice. Zeke can use the single bullet left in his gun to shoot a target that stops his captured father from bleeding out, or he can shoot Schenck. Zeke chooses to save his dad. But as Schenck gets away, a SWAT team bursts into the room. Thanks to Schenck's trap, they mistakenly see the elder Banks as a gun-wielding threat and kill him anyway. During his big reveal, Schenck lays out exactly how he manipulated Zeke and managed to escape detection for so long. He lured Zeke's father, Marcus, to an abandoned location by borrowing Zeke's phone. He faked his own death by copying his tattoo onto a corpse. He pretended to have a wife and an infant son in order to divert Zeke's suspicion. He even dropped little hints during the investigation. Schenck notes near the beginning, "Your dad is the reason for all of this. He is why I want to do this in the first place." A comment which can be interpreted in different ways, whether you think Schenck is a rookie cop or the ruthless killer. At the time, Zeke is left none the wiser. There are other clues, though, which Spiral doesn't explicitly lay out. Schenck's tattoo says Charlie, which he passes off as the name of his fictional son, but which is also the first name of the man Dunleavy murdered.
What are you doing?
Oh, it's just family. This is my wife, Emma. This is my son, Charlie.
Shoot.
In a movie like this, that's not a coincidence. The killer also wears a pig mask. Given that pig is a derogatory term for a cop, Zeke maybe should have started looking for suspects inside the precinct a little earlier. Finally, the killer targets police officers with skeletons in their closets and reveals their sins via videotape. When Zeke visits the scene of Schenck's supposed murder, however, the audio track fades out before we can hear what the tape has to say about the young detective's past, hinting that it's not important, or, as it turns out, is completely fictional. Even if Schenck's interpretation of John Kramer's philosophy is muddled, the final scene in Spiral is Saw through and through. For most of its runtime, Spiral has its own tone. The traps are shot and edited like the death scenes in Saw and its sequels, but the rest of the film is closer to a police procedural or dark crime drama than the torture porn vibe that defines Saw and its imitators. In the end, though, Spiral finally becomes a Saw movie. Typically, Saw finales share a number of the same elements. There's always some big twist or reveal, like the dead body in Saw not being dead at all, or the unmasking of one of John Kramer's many accomplices. The most emotionally resonant death is usually saved for the end. The hero finds a new low, sometimes while facing down his or her imminent demise, while the bad guy gets away. The big climax of Spiral has all of those. William Schenck raising a finger to his lips as the elevator door closes and he escapes to safety. The revelation that Zeke's father Marcus isn't actually safe at all, as the machine that he's strapped to lifts him into the air and begins raising his arm, pointing a rifle at the door. Marcus's death as the SWAT team bursts into the room, and a close-up on Chris Rock's tortured face. You can even hear Hello Zep, the Saw franchise's ominous theme song, playing just before the credits roll. For most of its runtime, Spiral shies away from the Saw formula, only to embrace it at the very end. For longtime fans, it should work very, very well. The Saw franchise likes to play fast and loose with its timeline, which also leads to some of the series' biggest reveals. The twist at the end of Saw 4, for example, is that the prologue, in which Detective Hoffman examines John Kramer's body, actually takes place after the rest of the movie. It's a flash forward, which completely changes its significance in the story. Jigsaw makes viewers think John Kramer has miraculously survived death, only to reveal that his scenes took place years earlier. Spiral plays similar tricks. Fairly early in Spiral, Marcus Banks goes missing. He won't return phone calls, and he's not at his apartment when Zeke stops by. That's why it's a little surprising when he suddenly shows up 2/3 of the way through, investigating an old soap factory, right after Zeke is captured. As the end of the movie reveals, this is a fake-out. The scene depicting Marcus's capture actually comes sometime between the time that Shank borrows Zeke's phone and Zeke's first visit to Marcus's apartment, right around the time that Fitch dies. In terms of setting up a fair mystery, yeah, it's kinda cheating, but misdirects like that are also time-honored Saw traditions. You're just gonna have to roll with it. The Saw franchise has gotten political before. Saw 6 kicks off with a trap punishing 2 subprime mortgage lenders. Remember, this was 2009. Before jumping into a story about the inequalities of the for-profit medical insurance industry. As far as political satire goes, it's pretty clunky, but it's there.
The devices on your heads are symbolic of the shackles that you place upon others.
Similarly, Spiral flirts with social commentary too. The entire story hinges on police corruption, particularly police brutality. Zeke is ostracized because he tattles on an officer who killed a witness in order to cover up a different event, in which an officer threw someone off of a rooftop. Fitch is killed because he shot a suspect who talked back to him. Marcus and his successor, Angie, are marked for death as the masterminds behind Article 8, a police policy that lowered crime rates at the cost of civilians' lives. The real-world parallels in Spiral are impossible to ignore, but Spiral never fully commits to its anti-police brutality message. Schenk condemns the entire policing system, but then clarifies that he's only targeting bad cops, implying that plenty of them are okay, which makes for a muddled message and motive for a psychopathic villain. The main lesson in Spiral seems to be that there's no way to be a good police officer. Either you're corrupt and violent, or you end up like Zeke, who's despised by his peers and loses everything he has. There's something interesting there. It's too bad that the movie doesn't go all the way with its moral stance. We already know we're getting another Saw movie. Saw X was greenlit well before Spiral debuted. And while Chris Rock notes that a direct Spiral sequel depends on how this one does at the box office, he's ready to return if asked. With that in mind, it's pretty easy to see what a sequel might explore. As the credits roll, William Shank is free to cause more mayhem. While Zeke knows his identity, it's clear that his mission to violently reform the police still has a long way to go. Jigsaw's legacy still looms over the city too. After all, Shank is the second Jigsaw copycat to cause havoc. Chances are there's going to be a third. That's not even counting all of Jigsaw's accomplices, including Lawrence Gordon, who as of the end of Saw 3D, the final chapter, is still at large. If the studio wants to pay Cary Elwes to return and face off against Chris Rock, he wouldn't turn that down. It's possible that there are other Jigsaw proteges lurking out there too. He does have a bunch of them. As far as Zeke's personal arc is concerned, there's plenty to mine there too. His soon-to-be ex-wife only had one scene in Spiral, but could play a bigger part in future installments. After all, Saw movies love to toy with the hero's loved ones. He didn't hit rock bottom until the very end of Spiral, so seeing how someone comes back from a loss like that could be very compelling. As a franchise, Saw is famous for playing the long game. When it comes to the world of Spiral, we're probably just getting started. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about Spiral and the Saw franchise are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.